Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, the head of Senate Judiciary is here, State Senator Melanie Scheible, here for the whole show on all new Nevada Newsmakers.
When in Carson City, Nevada Newsmakers records in the conference room of the Nevada Builders Alliance. Coverage of the 2025 legislative session is brought to you by Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you. NV Energy, proudly serving Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers. The Retail Association of Nevada, looking out for business. And by Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org. A power line is more than a power line. It's maintaining the bottom line for small businesses. It's keeping the assembly line moving for our workforce. For our brightest minds, it's meeting a deadline. It's on the front line with our heroes. And on the sidelines of the biggest games. It's a direct line to our loved ones. And it's a lifeline for the most vulnerable. There's a lot on the line.
The trucking industry is the most resilient link in the supply chain. And for over 90 years, the Nevada Trucking Association has been the voice for the men and women in the trucking industry. From Carson City to Washington, D.C., we advocate for policies to protect our trucking companies and keep commerce flowing. Because Nevada's and America's prosperity is tied to trucks. There's nothing without trucking.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from Carson City, from the home of the Nevada Builders Alliance. We're delighted to welcome back to the program, her 20th year on this program, State Senator Melanie Scheible of District 9. Pleasure to have you back on the program.
It is a pleasure to be back.
Well, thank you very much for always doing this. You are the chair of Senate Judiciary, you're on the Natural Resources Committee and vice chair there, and Commerce and Labor. So there are a lot of things to talk about, to say the least. The first thing I want to ask you is, and it doesn't necessarily come to your committee at this point, but the movie studios. Mm-hmm. When the speaker was on the program, he certainly was raising doubts. Others have raised doubts. What are your thoughts at this point?
I also have questions. I'll be honest, I'm a little bit grateful that it's starting in the Assembly, so that gives us a little bit more time in the Senate to vet the proposal. Anytime that you're talking about giving away tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in tax credits, we have to be really, really careful. I love the idea of putting Nevadans to work. I love the idea of creating jobs and, revitalizing our economy with new types of workforce development, with, new economic sectors. And I also think that there's still a lot of work to do to pencil out those numbers and understand what the cost would be to the state.
Are you comfortable with transferable tax credits? Because, not that I'm against Tesla coming and what a fantastic thing they did for Northern Nevada and the state, but they made more money selling those tax credits than they did from selling cars. And it seems like that's a similar thing with the movie studios.
I think that's an excellent point. And that's exactly the kind of question that I still have about the movie studio proposal, is how many of those tax credits are going to be transferable, at what rate are they going to be transferred, and are we going to put any guardrails on that to ensure that the tax credits are being utilized to develop new industry and to bring jobs to Nevada, and not, like you said, to enrich the people who are being essentially given the tax credits, if the proposal were to pass.
I've been saying all along that we need to invite Tyler Perry because he has been so successful working with Georgia that maybe we could learn a lot from him, but we shall see.
Let me know if he says yes.
Okay, I'm working on that. Last week, the Nevada Interscholastic Activities Association, NIAA, voted to reverse a 2014 policy that allowed transgender students in high schools to play for teams that align with their gender identity. The decision came after President Trump issued an executive order seeking to ban transgender athletes in women's sports and threatening to revoke federal funds from any entities who violate it. Some say the NIAA's new ruling violates the Nevada Constitution's Equal Rights Amendment, which passed by voters in 2022 and guarantees equal rights regardless of gender identity. So what do you think this issue may not be settled and may end up winding up in the court system with the Nevada Supreme Court eventually deciding? What are your thoughts on this whole issue?
I think it's incredibly sad. I think that decision from the NIAA is a group of adults who are targeting a group of incredibly vulnerable children and singling them out and saying that you are a problem, you don't belong here, we're going to design special rules just to exclude you from sports. And sports are supposed to be about developing kids' leadership qualities, about developing teamwork skills, about teaching kids how to get along with other kids and be part of a group that works towards something that is bigger than themselves. And then you have adults who sit on the NIAA who are sowing division between children who just want to play soccer together, who just want to play on a basketball team. And I'm offended by the decision. I'm appalled by the decision, because it targets this very small group of student athletes who identify as transgender. And those athletes are not the danger in our school systems. They are not the ones who are committing bad acts. They're not the ones who are making schools unsafe. They are literal children who are going through an incredibly difficult time in their young years, trying to identify who they are, trying to understand where they fit in the world, who have maybe been so lucky as to find a place on their school's basketball team or on the tennis team or on the track team. And now we're telling them, no, this safe place that you had is no longer safe for you.
What number of transgender kids do you believe there are in the state? Because it seems to me that it is a tiny number.
It is. It is an incredibly tiny number. Overall, different researchers have different percentages on the number of people in America who are transgender. It's certainly less than 10% of the population. It's an even smaller number when you start talking about children, and an even smaller number when you start talking about children who participate in sports. So we're talking about a handful of athletes across the entire state of Nevada.
One of the things that that strikes me is that, sometimes the American people vote without actually voting, and it seems that this issue has really sparked a lot of people's attention across the country, especially women, obviously. And they're saying it's the 80-20 rule, that 80% are in favor of not allowing transgender kids to participate, transgender boys who have become girls to participate because of the physical attributes, versus 20% who say it's fine. How does that strike you? The physical side of this, is that a reality in your opinion?
First of all, I don't think 100% of the American people even think about this. I think there is a very small group of people who are very obsessed with children's genitals, who care about where transgender kids play sports. I do not think 100% of the American people are worrying about whether their kid's soccer team has one child on it who is transgender, or whether the opposing team has one child on it who is transgender. I think the majority of Americans care about their children growing up happy and healthy, and the ones who participate in sports, they want to participate in a league that is a safe place for them. Whether their child is cisgender or transgender, they want their child to be out on the field, playing with other kids their age, learning how to, be in good physical health, be part of a team, learn about the discipline of going to practice once a week, twice a week, every single day, working towards a goal, getting better at their sport. I think that's what the majority of Americans, and especially American parents, care about. And there is this very small group of people who have become fixated on villainizing this one small group of transgender athletes because it's easy to pick on them and because it provides another place for them to focus their energy on blaming somebody else for whatever problems they have going on in their lives instead of focusing on the purpose of scholastic athletics and collegiate athletics and K through 12 sports, which is to get kids out of the house, outside, or, into the basketball court, wherever it is, participating in a group sport.
What did you think about the Lieutenant Governor's comments? One of your colleagues in the Assembly, Selena Torres-Fawcett, was quite adamant that Stavros Anthony had no business being involved in this. He had other duties to take care of, and he's going to be on the program in a week or so to respond. But what were your thoughts?
I agree that this was completely outside of the Lieutenant Governor's job description. I was alarmed to hear during one of the Finance Committee meetings that he's been utilizing state resources to run the task force. Politicians are allowed to get involved in whatever political organizations or, activities they want to get involved in outside of their time, in the government building, utilizing government dollars. But I find it extremely disturbing that his office on the official side has been coordinating those meetings, has been, helping the task force to develop their policies or their bills or whatever it is that they're doing, when again, the whole purpose is to villainize a small group of literal children who are just trying to play sports.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back much more with State Senator Melanie Scheible after this timeout.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Your good times are at Tamarack Casino during the $150,000 Denim and Diamonds giveaways with cash and free play drawings every Thursday and Saturday, and $30,000 in grand finale giveaways Saturday, May 31st, including a top prize of $20,000 guaranteed. Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with State Senator Melanie Scheible. She's the Democrat from District 9. Interim U.S. Attorney for the District of Nevada, Sigal Chattah, has yet to publicly resign her position as the state's Republican National Committee woman and was introduced virtually at a state party meeting last Saturday as such. And some have the opinion that Chattah could be in violation of DOJ rules against employees participating in political activities. As the chair of Senate Judiciary, your thoughts?
I think it's very likely that she is in violation of those federal rules. I also think that serving as the National Committee woman for the Republican Party right now is probably the least of the problems I have with Sigal Chattah being appointed as our interim U.S. attorney.
So what are your thoughts on problems?
I think that she has demonstrated over the course of her career that she doesn't understand the law, doesn't believe in the rule of law, and a lot of her, underlying personal and political views are frankly abhorrent to me. The statements that she's made about our own attorney general with, some serious racist undertones make me think that she's not qualified to serve in any public office.
And in her defense, I will say the phrase that she used in a private text is a common phrase from Israelis and is based on something completely different. It's not a racist term, but that has been what she has been attacked on. And so I just want to balance that out. Last month, the Nevada Independent reported that you were going to introduce legislation to increase stock trading reporting requirements for public officials. Tell me about that and why.
Yes, I did introduce this legislation. It's SB 414, and I presented it to the Legislative Operations and Elections Committee last week. And the purpose of the legislation, it has a couple of different pieces to it, but the one about the stock trading is to kind of close this gap or loophole that we had before where candidates and elected officials weren't required to disclose their interest in a particular stock unless it equated to more than 1% of the business's total stock value, which meant or means that people who are currently in elected office, who are running for office, who have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars worth of stock in large corporations that don't add up to a full 1% don't have to report it. But then people who have, 75 or 100% interest in their small family business do have to report that interest. And so that, to me, seems unfair and imbalanced. And so the purpose of the bill is to bring a little bit more parity to the reporting requirements for everybody.
Do you consider it to be a big problem?
I think we don't know how big the problem is because people don't have to report those huge investments as long as they're investing in companies large enough that they don't reach that 1% threshold.
All right, let's take another break. We'll come back more with the Chair of Senate Judiciary, State Senator Melanie Scheible, after this time out.
Welcome to Story County, where history meets innovation, and a pioneering spirit continues to shape our future. At the heart of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, we power the future with global leaders in technology and manufacturing, driving progress that reaches far beyond our county lines. From advanced manufacturing to tech innovation, our industries are creating thousands of quality careers, fueling a vibrant economy that benefits every Nevadan. But it's more than just growth. Our community is our foundation, supporting families, empowering local initiatives, and creating a place where everyone belongs. Be part of a legacy built on bold ideas and boundless possibilities. Join us in building a brighter future right here in Story County. Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with State Senator Melanie Scheible. You said this coming with the legislature, it's a little hard to talk on Monday mornings, you wanted to hold a hearing on a bill that would increase requirements for people seeking to manage a probate case. That was covered in the Las Vegas Review-Journal. That's been a very interesting topic. There's been hanky-panky in the state, if I can use that term, over the years with this. Explain what your thoughts are and what your concerns are.
So I learned about this over the course of the interim, and specifically about what's going on in Las Vegas. And I think it's concerning when we see estates being settled without the true heirs, without the family members of the person who has passed being properly involved. And
This is like selling houses and the heirs don't get any money.
That is exactly what it is. And sometimes the heirs don't even know that the home is being sold, or they don't know that the home has even been, gone through the probate process. And so what's been happening is that independent administrators have been appointed, which sounds kind of logical, and it kind of makes sense when you think about it, in a hypothetical term, that, oh, if there's nobody available to deal with this, home that belonged to somebody who's passed, of course, we need somebody to step in and take care of the sale. The problem is that in practice, it hasn't been working that way. It seems like there are some bad actors who are taking advantage of the opportunity to become an independent administrator and profiting from it. And so I have introduced a bill. The Senate committee has actually introduced a bill. We're hearing it this afternoon, that reforms some of those independent administrator processes to hopefully ensure that the heirs, the family members, the next of kin of a person who's passed, are properly notified if and before any independent administrator is appointed.
You're one of 6 primary sponsors of AJR 14, which condemns the January 6th attack on the Capitol and denounces the use of presidential pardons and commutations to absolve the rioters. Your thoughts on that and why you're supporting it?
I think that the January 6th rioters are insurrectionists, and I'm appalled that anybody would consider pardoning them, especially the ones who had not yet been convicted, who had due process in a court of law to determine their guilt or innocence. I think that, we were looking to the President of the United States to condemn those rioters and to condemn those insurrectionists. And so to see him instead start granting pardons to them, I feel like it's a slap in the face to the American people who care about this democracy and who love this country and who want to see it continue to be the democratic republic that it was always designed to be.
You come from a prosecutorial background. You worked for the Clark County District Attorney's Office, so you certainly have the right to have thoughts on that. Natural resources. We're going to see tremendous growth in Clark County. And it was interesting, over the weekend, I got an email from a viewer who said, we need to stop the growth right now. The population is large enough. I'm concerned about the water. And I wrote back and said, Southern Nevada Water Authority says it can accommodate the growth. But there is going to be tremendous growth, especially on the 15 going south. And it's 15 years out, 10 to 15 years out at least, with the new airport at Ivanpah. And then in addition to that, they've got 5,000 acres. Then there's another 17,000 acres to be developed around that. What are your thoughts on that and growth in general?
Growth is a challenge. I think that there are lots of reasons that we want to see Southern Nevada and Nevada as a state grow, and we are going to run into challenges. I think water is a big one, and sitting on natural resources for the last 4 sessions, I've certainly learned a lot about how water is allocated throughout Nevada. And you have to remember that, water doesn't care about our political boundaries. And so we're also sharing with California, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, through the Colorado River Compact. And in addition to water, land is becoming a bigger and bigger scarcity in Southern Nevada. In Nevada, we have some of the most pristine wilderness areas in the entire United States, and certainly in the lower 48. And as we start talking about expanding what used to look like, a very distant and pristine wilderness location is starting to look closer and closer to a place where some people want to develop housing. And I'm concerned about encroaching on that wild area, those areas that are currently preserved. And I think that we're going to have challenges with, land and water and all of the other resources that you need in order to develop more housing.
Okay, but realistically, I mean, we used to talk about the idea that Clark County was going to end up being about 3 million people it's going to blast past that. And my thought is it's going to be closer to 4 million people in our lifetimes. You've got to accommodate that growth.
I agree. It is. It's going to be much bigger than we had anticipated. And so things that I think about in addition to the natural resources is our transportation infrastructure. You know, we don't have a good subway system, a train system. We don't have the public transportation that other large cities have. And so we're going to continue to be car dependent. We're going to continue to have those, increasing traffic problems. And going back to our original conversation about adding a movie studio in the middle of my district in Southwest Las Vegas, how are we going to accommodate, an additional, thousands of people driving to and from work every morning and every evening?
And where are they going to live?
Exactly.
That to me is actually the bigger question. Is we already have a housing situation. These people will make money over a short period of time, and good money, but will they be buying houses? And if not, where are they going to live? Okay, so back to transportation for a couple of seconds
Sure.
here. Boring company. I realize that you may not be the biggest fan of Elon Musk at this point, but is that part of the solution? Are you comfortable with that?
I'm open to ideas, possibilities. I'm not sure that what the Boring Company has done so far has really, penciled out to be as impactful as some people might have thought it was going to be or told us it was going to be. So I think I would describe myself as skeptical that the Boring Company is going to be able to answer our transportation problems.
Well, it's going to be a piece of it. If they build 58 stations, that is definitely going to be a piece of it, and they are expanding. But we all want it to be tomorrow, and tomorrow is a little bit further out. We're out of time, sadly. Please come back before the end of the session. It's always great to see you.
I would love to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Meet Nevada Health Link, Nevada's official health insurance marketplace. Your link to savings, selection, free assistance, and name brand health insurance, where 90% of enrollees lower the cost of their monthly premium. Everyone deserves access to quality health coverage, no matter your income or family size. Visit NevadaHealthLink.com. A few minutes could save you hundreds of dollars per month.
Nevada Health Link. Our plans are made for your plans.
When in Carson City, Nevada Newsmakers records in the conference room of the Nevada Builders Alliance. Coverage of the 2025 legislative session is brought to you by Pro Group Management, Workers' Comp that works for you. NV Energy, proudly serving Nevada, providing electricity to 2.4 million electric customers. The Retail Association of Nevada, looking out for business. And by Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from Carson City, from the headquarters of the Nevada Builders Alliance. We'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for watching.